So the question for you is, where do you volunteer and what are your stories and what brings you the most joy? Hey everybody, welcome to the channel today. Today's video is about volunteering, the joy that I get in my life and I see with others as they volunteer. And the question for you is, where do you volunteer your time? Where do you give your time freely? Where do you give your time when you're not remunerated for it? You don't get compensation for it financially, but you get so much benefit from it. You get so much reward from it. You get so many other wealths come to you besides just the in the form of money in whatever currency and whatever country you're in. So I get a lot of joy from volunteering. I have such a great time, and I also have such a frustrating time, if we're going to be honest. And I still do it because the juice is worth a squeeze. And I mainly volunteer with Art of Living Foundation and the International Association for Human Values. And I mainly volunteer for two organizations, Project Welcome Home Troops and Camp Santosh. So where do you volunteer? What type of places do you volunteer at? And which of them bring you the most joy? And which of them bring you the most frustration? You know, because I discuss my brothers volunteer a lot, and oh my God, sometimes in the cars, like we just talk so much in the cars, and my brothers are volunteering with their respective sports their children's play with. And I volunteer mainly with the Art of Living because of the breathing and meditation. And I always want people to have that opportunity to breathe and meditate. And right from the beginning, I've been doing this. I took the Art of Living course in 2002 and I started volunteering right away. And I remember at work once, I used to work at a big hospital in the city here in Halifax. And I put a sign up for a course, a breathing and meditation course. And my name was the contact. And someone was like, "Did you actually put this up?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Because like I have a lot of energy and in Ayurvedic terms, I'm a little rajasic, and I'm all over the place. You know, I have a ton of energy. I don't always have the cleanest language, and then I breathe and meditate, and I have this spiritual teacher, this guru from India, and people just think it's so funny. It's such a juxtaposition. I was even at basketball on Friday night, and I was talking to a guy, and we've reconnected. We become friends. Recently, the last couple of years, we went to high school together, and he was such a gentle soul. He is a gentle soul, beautiful, wise, intelligent, and I was just like this lunatic. And he was like, "Yeah, so I found out you got sober and got a guru or found a guru." And I was like, It's kind of like that. I'm one of those, I'm a giant, you know, because the stuff that comes out of my mouth is kind of silly and hilarious. But I have this gentle side, and I have this, you know, really deep affinity and reverence for breathing and meditation and for Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, because I want other people to find their way and their path. So I do, and because of that, I'll put up with lots of stuff. And I volunteered for the Art of Living for 13 years, full time, all over the world. And then I kind of felt like I was missing the mark on the knowledge part of it. So I got some jobs, and now I have a great job and a great company, and I'm doing this, which is amazing. And I still volunteer because I want people to be able to learn how to breathe and meditate. And specifically, I want two different type groups that have gotten closest to my heart. So the first are military war veterans, active military, their immediate family, and their immediate supports. So that's called Project Welcome Home Troops. So I went down to LAX years and years ago to take the training. So I went down to LAX, and I really wasn't a big, you know, I thought I was so wise and so well read, you know, reading Noam Chomsky and, you know, reading Howard Zinn. And I told a colonel, I was like, "I don't support war." And he said, "Who gives a what you support? This isn't about you. This is about helping people who have been to war and let them have some peace, because they don't have much peace and they struggle so much with moral injury of the things they've done. And not only do they come back physically broken, but mentally they don't know how to express and reconcile what they've done." And that just stopped me in my tracks. And And ever since then, I've volunteered so much teaching Project Welcome Home Troops. And I've had such an amazing time. It's a 5-day program, 3 hours each day. And it's not much talking until day 4 and 5, and mainly just teaching breathing techniques, pranayamas, and then Sudarshan Kriya. And then at the end of day 4 and day 5, we've done a good job when the military guys start insulting us. That's like when they're being very polite, they don't like us, they don't trust us. And when they start insulting us, we know we've done a good job. So I was in New York State just before COVID, and Upper New York State teaching a class, and there was a guy that was literally like arms crossed, like every question we asked him. How come you're here? What would you like to get out of this? And we were like, whoa, it was so intense. And then on the last day, we were giving out certificates, and he humped my leg and gave me a hug. And that's how he showed me his thanks. And another gentleman, just a second, I'm going to go get something he gave us. He gave us this, and I have it on my altar at home. I have an altar with all the things that are most sacred and important to me. And I have this right next to my picture of Shushu, actually. And it's a challenge coin. I had no idea what it was. And you give them to people who have done something for you in your life. And his name's Mark as well. And he said he didn't want to be alive, but he didn't want anyone to have to put him in a bag. So he was trying to figure out how to put himself in a body bag to be able to, finish his life, end his life. And he couldn't figure out how, so he wouldn't do it. And it was such heavy energy. And on the 4th day of the class, he came in and he had texted his wife, "I love you." And he had one of those old flip phones. I don't even know where he got it from, to be honest. And he took it out and and she texted back like, "Is your phone broken?" And then the next day he said, I felt like I've been in a well for 15 to 20 years. And this 5 days, I feel like I've got out of the well. So, of course, being a volunteer is frustrating. And a friend of mine from the States said it's the ultimate opportunity to practice patience, volunteering. And of course, like the emails you get and the comments and this, and you do this better and you do this better and all these things, that's all there. But those moments when that guy went from saying fuck you to humping my leg and give me a hug, and then the other gentleman who said he just didn't want to be alive, but he didn't know how to do it, so no one would in a uniform would have to find him. And then in the 4th day, he texted his wife, "I love you," and she asked, "Is your phone broken?" And on the 5th day, he said he felt like he was out of a well. And I'll volunteer with Project Welcome Home Troops forever, for the rest of my life, because I thought I was in pain because my mother died and I was an alcoholic. And then I've met people from the military, active and retired, and their immediate families and their immediate supports. And I've never heard the stories, just the pain that they're in is I can't even describe. I don't have words. And I know the breathing technique that we have helps. So I will always do it. And we've had some great success recently in Canada offering this. It's quite amazing. If anybody's interested, just send me a note. I'll give you all the information. And the coolest thing is Project Welcome Home Troops for the individual is never have a cost. And that's amazing. People donate money so that people can take the class. Usually it's a couple $100 for someone to take the class. But for this one, there's never a fee. So it's amazing. That's where I spend most of my time volunteering. And my significant other, she was like, why do you spend so much time? You seem frustrated on these calls, and they kind of happen at the weirdest time. It's always like dinner time or the middle of a Super Bowl, or for me, middle of WrestleMania. Actually, this year there was one during the beginning of WrestleMania, which for me is like, I don't know what's more important than match 1 of WrestleMania, but still, this is always first. This is always first. Always Project Welcome Home Troops comes first. And because I know that someone's in pain and this can help them, and I'll always put that number 1. And then everything else always, and the joy that I get and the feeling that I get when that class ends and when these experiences end, there's no other feeling like it. So that's my first thing I volunteer with. So the second thing I spend most of my time doing is Camp Santosh. So it's coming up in a few weeks. If anyone's watching this, you can still send your kids, or if you're watching this whenever in the future, you can always check out the website campsantosh.com, and you can send your children there. It means happy camp, contentment camp. So years ago, I was asked to start a summer camp for children, and I was like, well, I'm not doing it unless it's a real summer camp where they get to learn, breathe, and meditate. So all the great things about the Art of Living course for children, Yes and Art Excel, and plus summer camp. So my family has been associated with summer camps for decades. My great uncle was a director of a YMCA. My little brother went to YMCA for so long. My older brother and I and my little brother went to a summer camp in the United States. It's part of our life. It's part of our life blood, And I almost feel like the canoe club I went to was a summer camp. We spent so much time down there from the age of 10 onwards. So I took all of the things from the summer camp. One of my great friends runs one of the most successful camps in Canada, up in Ontario. So she's helped me so much. And we're just so blessed. We took all of that. We got it certified by Camp Canada, Camp Quebec. And we have put a program together that I'm so proud of, because kids can come, they have fun. They're very concerned that they're going to be meditating all day and that there's no meat because it's vegetarian. And they're like, oh my God, like, where am I going to get protein? How am I, like, what's going to happen? Mainly the parents will ask that, where are my kids going to get protein? And the kids will be like, am I meditating all day? This is going to be so boring. And it's not. So we play all the traditional stuff at summer camp. We do marshmallow roasting, and we have fires, and we do capture the flag, and you get to learn to meditate. And why do I do this? Is because when I was a kid, it was hard for me to be a kid. It was super hard. Like, I was so much energy, had so many opinions. I was so frustrated so much of the time. And I had no tool. And then in my early 20s, I learned Sudarshan Kriya, and I got a tool on how to breathe, breathe and meditate, to do Sudarshan Kriya. And I want children to have this. So I volunteer with the Camp Santosh. So children have a place to come, and they can run around and scream and yell, and they have the devices for 10 minutes a day to call home. And that's it. And besides that, they just run around and have fun, and they learn to breathe and meditate. And then they get to have an experience with this Vedic knowledge. If it's for them or not, that's their choice. But it's at least they have the opportunity to do it. And that's all we're offering, is an opportunity and a pathway. So Camp Santosh is the other thing I volunteer my time with. And one of the kids said to me a couple years ago, I love coming to Camp Santosh because I don't have to remember what mask I'm wearing. I can just be me. And if that's not enough reason to volunteer and do this and run that camp, I don't know what is. And people are like, you don't get paid for Project Welcome Home Troops, and you don't get paid for Camp Santosh. No, I don't get paid in money. No. But the payment I receive in other areas is amazing. And I know that when I do that work, all the other areas of my life get taken care of. And I have an amazing life. It does. It makes me happy and joyful in my soul. And I'm giving back, but it's also selfish because I'm getting so much. And I'm essentially helping my young self, who didn't have tools, and I'm helping that person. And then with the military, I'm helping people. When I thought I was in pain, they are so further down the road of pain than I was ever even close to being. And I'm helping them. And there's nothing that will measure against that. It's nothing better. It's amazing. I feel so blessed and lucky and honored to be able to do it. So the question for you is, where do you volunteer? And what are your stories? And what brings you the most joy? And this all came from a podcast that I did this week, where a guy said, my greatest joy after being rich and famous and poor in between is helping people transition to dying. Youth. He helps young people who are in the hospital, who are going to die, and he helps them. And I said, there's nothing he says that he can do that brings him more joy. And if he can't do it, when he was really, really busy and really, really famous, he would send money. But he said there's nothing like giving his time. And another girl that I had on the podcast, and all the podcasts is coming out this fall, which is really exciting. She was in tears of what she's seen, people struggling in Canada, here in Nova Scotia, and she helps them So what are your stories? Where do you help? Leave some comments, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for tuning in. This is so much fun. It's great to do this.